Thank you for coming to our new knowledge series. We're excited about today's presentation. We have with us Carrie Cannaday and her assistant Kayla, and they are going to talk to you about creating a promotional video. So without further ado, Carrie Cannaday.
Thank you all very much for being in attendance here today, and thank you to Sandy and to Kathy for inviting us to come share with you all. So the presentation today is on video for the small business, and really we're just going to talk a lot about all things video related, and I'm going to jump around a little bit, but I've tried to build a presentation that will be of interest to you and that will help you in a few key areas, and that is learning about the power of video and why video is an important part of marketing, particular your business today, and also just how you can get started maybe with video if you've never done much with video before, or you can grow and build upon what you're already doing. So before I get really into introducing myself, I kind of want to just get to meet all of you all. So could we go around the room and just introduce yourself, let me know who you're with or what business or group you're with, and also if you could just share what experiences you've had with video, if you do anything currently using video, or if there's anything in particular that you're interested in learning about video today. So could we start here and just go around the room?
Hi, I'm Emily Ann Thompson. I'm with the Crisis Center, which is in Bristol, Virginia. I'm the Suicide Prevention Coordinator, Community Educator, and we are in the process of turning our hotline training, which is about 60-some hours, on from a sit-and lecture to an online class. So we're wanting to make it more exciting than someone standing there talking for 60 hours. And we also do public service announcements on both suicide and sexual assault and things like that, and we want to make them effective and better. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, great, thank you.
I'm Alice Rainey, and I'm with the SAGE group, focus group for aging in the community. I have absolutely zero experience with video, and I'm not sure how we'll use it, but I see that we can have that opportunity.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I'm Margie Collins. I'm with the City of Bristol, Virginia Drugs.
My name is Deborah McCroskey. I'm with the Bristol World Courier in the marketing department, and we do a lot of videos now.
I used to work at the Hill Crew.
Did you?
OT.
A lot of people do.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
My name is Cindy Brewer. I own a Virginia in-home assistance business. The reason I'm here is because I had it all set up to do PowerPoint for my prospective clients, and they said, no, you don't want to do a PowerPoint, you want to do a video. So I'm changing the way I think a little bit today, so that's why I'm here.
Great.
I'm Linda Austin with Hands and Feet Ministries. We are a jail and prison-based ministry in Damascus, Virginia. And we would like to do a FundMe or Kickstart campaign to do some fundraising, and we need to learn to do some video snippets for that.
Great.
Hi, I'm Jenna Reedy, and I am the communication coordinator with the Margaret B. Mitchell Spay Neuter Clinic in Bristol. And my job is to educate the community about the clinic and the need for the clinic, and to bring in more business. So I thought that this might be a unique way to highlight our services and the need for them.
Absolutely.
I'm Audrey Wells. I'm with the Washington County Economic Development Department. I'm here because I've never done a video or anything like that, but we're kind of starting to work on.
It's mostly live production. Before I went back to grad school to do other things, specifically the things I'm doing now. Although it has changed a lot since then, so.
And I'm Andrea Smith. I'm also with People Incorporated. I have a little experience with video. I help my husband with his sports channel on YouTube. And we use the video a lot with People Incorporated in our training, so I'm trying to get a little more out of it.
Great. Well, thank you all for sharing. And it sounds like we have a really neat group in here today, and a lot of varied interest in video and a lot of varied experience levels. And so today's presentation hopefully will have a little bit of something for all of you. But don't hesitate to interrupt me at any point in the presentation. We've got plenty of time to go over what I have prepared. So if you have questions or you want to stop me, or even if if there's something that's not covered in the presentation that you want to talk about, I'm going to try to have some time at the end that we can just have some collaborative discussion. So thank you all, and just to tell you a little bit about myself, my name is Carrie Cannaday. I'm the owner and founder of Starscape Media. We're a video production company based in Bristol. And just to tell you about my background in video, I started out actually in high school. I went to high school near Roanoke, Virginia, at Franklin County High School, and they had an actual video production class that I started in when I was a sophomore. And so we had a television studio at our high school. We had really nice equipment, and we actually would produce student-run programming that I was able to be a part of from the age of 16. So that was pretty neat. And I grew up in a big family with a lot of cousins, so I ended up getting started with wedding videography at a very young age. So that was kind of my entry-level interest. And went to school at Emory-Henry College here in the area. That's what brought me here to the Tri-Cities area. And at the time, I thought I wanted to be a news journalist, and specifically a news reporter, and to do video with news. And so I studied at Emory-Henry and went to school and got a degree in mass communications. And while doing so, I worked at a couple different news stations. I worked at WSLS in Roanoke, Virginia for one summer. I worked for 2 years at WCYB here in the area as a news videographer. And I also kept my wedding videography business going on the side. So that was kind of my first few years in video business. From there, I went on and worked at a regional television network for 5 years. And during that time, I started taking on freelance clients and doing just an assortment of video projects. I've done everything from long-form television show development to short-form web videos and promotional stuff. And when people come and ask what we do at Starscape, I usually just say all things video, because our work really varies from webcasting and live video broadcasting through the web to commercials that air on television and on web videos, and we've done documentary type projects, and we've done short form projects. So my background is kind of diverse with video, and hopefully I'll be able to pull from my knowledge base. Not that I know everything when it comes to video, but hopefully I can try to be of service to you all today. So just to tell you a little bit about Starscape, I started the company in 2007, so we've been around for 8 years. My assistant Kayla here with me today has been with me for 5 years. She's actually a motion graphics editor, so she does the fun stuff, and she kind of makes what we do look pretty. I'm more on the back end. I work as a producer, and I do a lot of the filming that we do, and she does most of the editing, and we contract out help as we need it. So that's kind of a background on Starscape Media and on myself, and this will show you just a little glimpse into the types of projects that we do. Large corporations, we've done work for small business, we do a lot of work for nonprofits, and a lot of work for ministries as well. So that's kind of the background there with myself and with Starscape. Our topics for today are threefold, and they're pretty diverse. So like I said, we're going to kind of cram a lot in, and it's going to be kind of varied, but hopefully that will meet the needs of a varied audience with varied needs. But I want to touch on first just some principles. Make lots and lots of videos, but hopefully you'll have some groundwork and some principles. And starting out with the power of video, what's the big deal about video? I think it's kind of neat when I was just thinking about the essence of video.
I can't wait for coffee. Oh, hello, barista.
What do you girls want?
Skim soy latte? Taryn, soy can't be skim.
Hot chocolate, orange juice?
No, Dad, I want a coffee. Hot chocolate? Great.
So I was thinking of going to Sarah's later. Could you give me a ride?
Yeah, sure. Are you cool with taking your sister?
Yeah.
Wait, what? I have my own plan.
Carly.
Okay.
Carly? How can I help?
So to me, that's just a profoundly powerful example there of the power of video, and that is the power of really sight and sound coming together. You could read about autism, you could have someone tell you about autism and what it's like, but here you actually get a glimpse from someone, from their vantage point of what their life is like. And there you notice they mix a lot of audio in, there's a lot of quick video cuts that show a lot of different visuals. But to me, one of the really powerful things about that video is just that combination of not only the visuals but the sound, and to hear and to kind of feel like you're in that moment, actually looking through her eyes and experiencing what she experiences. So to me, that's just a very powerful example of just what video does, and that is bring life to life almost, in these capsules that we call videos. Video has the power to take us places. You can read or say that a waterfall is beautiful and powerful, and then you can actually see a video of that. Can't you almost feel the breeze coming off of, you see the wind blowing, you hear the powerful waterfall, you see the water dropping, and it really has the power to take you to a place where all of a sudden, instead of here in this conference room, it almost feels like we just were in Niagara Falls. So that in itself is another capsule that shows the power of video. And then you've got online video, which is really taking video to a whole new level. And research tells us that video is really king when it comes to internet media forms. Right now, video is sitting atop blogs, photographs, and music as the preferred content of most folks that spend time on the internet, which I guess that includes most of us. And I was interested in what you were saying earlier, that you're a videoholic, and most of us are, whether we realize it or not. Researchers will tell us that most people they share more video content online than they share photos or music or anything else. It's something that's easily shared, it's something that's captivating, and it's something that really is king when it comes to internet content. A few stats to kind of back that up. Hewlett-Packard says that 83% of human learning occurs visually, and that the brain processes video 60,000 times faster than text. So you can read that here, but what you just saw earlier in those video clips was processed faster by your brain, according to that research. The power of video in the digital age. We've established so far, hopefully, that video is a very powerful medium, but what is really igniting this is the digital age, in which it used to be that video was seen in a movie theater, where maybe once a week or once a month you would visit a movie theater and you would see video on a big screen. Well, that was brought into the home. You might remember these 90s style big screen televisions that have mostly been replaced these days, but 10 years ago, this was how we viewed video. We viewed it either in our homes or maybe in a movie theater. Well, now, you're all carrying around basically a movie theater and a big screen TV, depending on how big your phone is. Some of the phones today are kind of like big screen TVs to me. But you're carrying that around in your pocket, and everybody pretty much is. And so that's pretty powerful, the fact that everybody now is carrying around the capability to watch videos and to tap into the power of video every single day. So what does that mean for you as business folk? I think it's important to understand what a powerful tool video is in business. Research tells us that consumers watch product videos 60% of the time if they're available. And I don't know if you've noticed, but even Walmart, you can walk through the aisles these days and there's little kiosks set up here and there that will actually, advertisers are using them to showcase their products. So if you're wondering how even a new detergent might work, you might be walking through the aisles of Walmart and see a little kiosk that will demonstrate a video, or a video that will demonstrate anything from detergent to technology. People are using videos to showcase products because people care enough to stop 2 minutes. They may not stop for 30 minutes and watch something, but most of us will stop for a few minutes and watch a product video. 52% say that watching a product video makes them more confident about a purchase. And I know that's true in my own case. If I'm researching something that maybe I want to buy online, I'm always looking for a video. What can I see about the product? What can I learn in a little capsule that is well created so that I don't have to go searching the internet for lots and lots of written information, but that I can just see a few bullets in a visual format. And that's what most consumers are looking for. Time spent on digital media will soon surpass time spent watching TV, and I think that gets back to the notion that we're all carrying around these TVs essentially in our pockets now. And so while TV still is a valuable media form, the internet is really keen in this area. Online video is shared at alarmingly high levels, and research tells us that 92% of mobile video viewers share the videos that they watch with others. So that may seem like a pretty alarming statistic, but think about, had you seen the video that we watched earlier on autism on your Facebook page, I'm sure most of you maybe know somebody whose life is impacted by autism, and you would have pretty quickly sent a link or copied that into an email and sent it to someone or shared it on your mobile phone. So that's the trend, that most people tend to share the videos that they see that make an impact on them. So what does all this mean for you? How can you use video? When I'm asked to give talks like this, it's a little overwhelming to narrow this down, because to me video is a lot like a Swiss Army knife. And it's one tool, just like a Swiss Army knife is essentially one tool. But within that one tool, you've got all these breakout tools. You've got all these various things. You may have a knife, you may have a can opener, you may have a pair of scissors. And that's kind of how video is. It's one tool, but it's got a lot of unique tools built within it. So I kind of want to just go over just a few ways that you could use video. You might use video for blogs, on social media, for long-form training videos, TV commercials, promo videos, product demonstrations, customer testimonials, live events, webcasting, and I could literally just stand up here and go on with different ways that you could make use of video. So how can we boil that down to a few ways that you can utilize video here and now? There's just a few areas I want to capitalize on. And the first is a website called Camtasia, and it's a screencast website. Can you raise your hand if you've heard of Camtasia or if you've used it before? Anyone in here? Camtasia is definitely, if you're interested in video, it's definitely something you want to know about. This is the website. You're going to find it at techsmith.com. That's the company that makes Camtasia, and they also make a few other products that are highly beneficial to the entry-level video user. But this is going to be software that is kind of twofold. You can use this for screen captures, and I know someone in here earlier mentioned that they do some screen capture video. Who was that? I'm pretty sure I thought I heard somebody say. that they had done that. But basically a screen capture is when you could be sitting at your computer and whatever it is, if you're using a certain piece of software for your business or anything that you can pull up on your computer screen that you would want to make a video of, you can use software like Camtasia to capture that screen, and it can incorporate your own voiceover from your built-in microphone in your computer. So you could essentially build a training video. For instance, let's say you have a piece of software that you want to be able to train coworkers on. You could just simply record your screen, and it's going to record all your clicks. It's going to record your voice as you describe what you're doing, and you're going to essentially be making a video with this kind of software with just a few clicks.
Okay, that's what I was, is it motion capture or is it still capture?
It is motion capture. It's going to actually, if you're moving your mouse across the screen, it's going to pick up all that motion, and it's going to show literally anything that's on your screen. And you can set parameters for that. And there are some things that you might want to clean up your desktop and turn off alerts and that kind of thing, because it is going to capture what is seen there. But it's a real easy way to make videos, especially if you have something like software that you're wanting to share, specifically in training environments. So that's just one thing. You may want to just spend some time on the TechSmith website. They have lots of training videos, tutorial videos that show you their products and what they do, but made for the entry-level user and very beneficial when it comes to a variety of video applications. Any other questions on that before we move on? Okay. The second starter project that I want to mention is Periscope. Can you raise your hand if you're familiar with Periscope? Okay, Periscope is pretty new on the scene. It's an app. It integrates with Twitter, and it was recently purchased by Twitter, I believe. So it's basically made, well, I'm going to let video speak for itself again and just let you watch this. Then we'll talk.
Here we go. Okay. And we're up.
We're on Koh Samet Island in Thailand.
Hey guys. Sunrise from Cappadocia.
Live from Amsterdam! La Piazza San Pietro.
We're in a village called Sipagat in Nepal.
Well, welcome to the moon, live from Cassiopeia Observatory.
There we go. That's the whole city.
I can use this app in North Korea.
Okay, so this is the real damage that was done here.
And yet still people are getting on with life.
Live from planet Earth. Hope you enjoyed it.
So that's a little glimpse into Periscope. Periscope is basically an app that you can use on your smartphone to broadcast yourself wherever you are. So if you're familiar with FaceTime or video chatting through a cell phone or even Skype, this is kind of like taking that to a whole new level where just from your mobile connection and your cell phone, you can literally have a broadcast from anywhere. So the applications for this could be pretty endless. But the neat thing is it integrates with social media, so you can share with your friends on a moment's notice. You can say, hey everyone, click here, provide the link to them and say, here I am in Costa Rica and I wanted to share this with you about our product or about what we're doing today, or you're going to do a training or the possibilities are truly endless. But this is something that businesses are using, that individuals are using, and it just basically makes everyone a broadcaster. And just with a few clicks, you can do a live broadcast right where you are with your phone. And I'm going to share some tips later for how to best capture video. But for now, we'll move on to the next starter project, which is micro video. Micro videos are short videos that are mostly found on social media. And these are going to be 6 to 15 second videos, and they're really popular on sites like Vine or Instagram. And Instagram actually has a limit. You can't just go put a 30-minute video and share it on Instagram. Instagram is made for snippets of video and also for photos. But micro videos are just really cool to me because for the entry-level person that's just wanting to harness the power of video, they're so short that you can masterfully communicate a clear message by building one, and just, I think the key is to getting strategic about what you wanted to share and taking and harnessing the power of video and sound. And so there's oodles of examples of micro videos on the web. You can Google those. You can look on Instagram and see what companies in particular and organizations are doing with micro video. But a micro video could be as simple as that Periscope video that we just saw, just in a shorter form. You know, Periscope has the ability to conduct a webcast for a long period of time. With a micro video, you're talking 6 to 15 seconds, but just a short little nugget of video that you could get creative with, and you could just promote your business. You could promote anything with that. And so I know I didn't go into great detail, but just wanted to get that on your radar and just let you continue to kind of Google search and learn more about those micro videos. Automated web applications are another good entry-level video aspect, and that I want Kayla here to bring up the Animoto website. And this is just a website, Animoto.com. This company specializes in helping entry-level users build videos. And what they do is they, here you see 1, 2, 3. These are the process, the steps. You're going to pick a style and a song, and I think they have maybe a subscription. I don't know if it's a subscription or maybe you buy the software. I get this platform confused sometimes with Camtasia, but sometimes companies like this will require you to subscribe and pay a monthly subscription fee to use their service, or you can buy the software outright. But with this software, you simply pick a song, you locate your photos and your videos on your computer, and then this software is going to contain templates that will basically help you take your media and make a video out of it. So let's scroll down to the bottom, I think, and let's just watch the short clip there in the left on business. And this is an example video that a business made with Animoto. Some of that text may have been hard to see on the screen. It actually shows up better if you're viewing it on a computer. But I like the song that they used there. It was about keeping it simple. And to me, that's what this kind of video is about. It's about keeping it simple and just creating a video that's clean, that looks very professional, but that can show off your business. And here they didn't even use any, this is a video, but it contained no video clips. They were actually just using images that they had. They were incorporating text, and those little motion bits that you saw were actually built into the software. You're picking a template just like you would if you were building a PowerPoint presentation or something like that. And it allows you to take your media and put words to it, put pictures to it. It can incorporate video, probably with various templates, but it just allows you kind of some framework in which to build some entry-level videos with. So that's another software that I would recommend that you check out if you're interested in getting started with making some of your own content. So now let's get into just some basic video tips. If you're shooting either with a smartphone, or maybe you have a flip cam, or any kind of handheld camcorder that you might be using. I know I have a still camera that I use for video a lot because it's got it's a DSLR still camera, but it has great video capabilities. And there's a lot of most cameras today, even still cameras, have video capabilities. So no matter what kind of camera you're using, there's some basic principles that you're going to want to follow. And one is just keeping steady, because all of us know that people get seasick easy, they get motion sickness easy. You're not going to want anybody to feel like they're in an earthquake unless that's something you're trying to convey in your video. So keep it steady. You can use tripods. Sandy actually brought this today that I could show you. This is a little tripod made for cell phones. And so it's got this little mount, and it can adjust depending on the size of the cell phone, and these little legs are adjustable. And so this is something handy that you can to attach your cell phone to, or mount on something if you're wanting to stabilize your cell phone. Another thing that I would recommend is obviously just a regular standard tripod. They make mounts that you can even buy a $30 stand-up tripod and mounts that will allow you to use your cell phone or whatever other camera that you have on those. Or if you're going handheld, which sometimes there are benefits to just getting off a tripod and going handheld, I would recommend, under keeping it steady, that you really watch your motion. You don't want all the footage that you capture to be constantly moving. You know, you want to, maybe you get a few pans. You know, if I walked into a room like this, my lens is not going to be wide enough to capture the whole room, you know, unless I stand back in the corner, and probably then it couldn't. So here, maybe a nice pan would be nice, but instead of just getting constant motion shots, think about steadying yourself and just holding the camera in one area and getting a variety of shots. So that's pretty standard advice there on just keeping your camera steady and being conscious of that. Another thing to remember is that audio makes up half of videos, and I think I see a lot with folks getting started with video that it's easy to focus on what you see visually and not think about what you're hearing as much. But do remember that audio essentially is half of video, and so you're going to want to be conscious of having audio, compelling audio, but also watching your audio levels. And in any basic editing software, you're going to be able to adjust your volume and your levels. And if you're integrating some music, which is usually a nice thing to do to kind of set the tempo for most videos, you're going to want to make sure that if you're merging music and sound bites, that you can hear who's speaking, you know, that you've got their sound up, and that you've got maybe the music low enough that it's complementary but not interfering. So I know that sounds probably like elementary advice, but I've seen so many entry-level videos where people just are totally focused on the visual and just not thinking about the audio aspect as much. And then the third tip is to be aware of lighting and shadows. And I think this gets by a lot of people, that you just think you can pull out a camera at any location at any time and capture a good quality picture. And while the technology is there, where even consumer cameras do get a good picture, pretty much any camera I've ever worked with requires a decent amount of light and just general, you know, good, decent lighting in order to capture, because that's how a camera works. It's utilizing light in order to see. And so you need to make sure that you're providing enough light for your camera. And also, you want to pay attention to shadows. For instance, here in the left image, this isn't a drastic example, but you can kind of see that the light is kind of uneven on his face, and therefore it's not as flattering as maybe the shot on the right, where he's just in an environment where the light is falling more evenly on his face. So that's just one example. Another example here is a common, easy to overlook thing, but this is a video that was shot with someone standing in front of a window. And the issue there is that you've got two competing light sources. You've got natural light from outside that's behind him, and then you've got the indoor light. And for the camera, that's a tricky situation, because you've got these two competing light sources, and in most cases, the outdoor light is almost always going to win out over the indoor light. And so here, the camera is actually exposing for the background, because most cameras that you're going to use are going to have that auto exposure feature. But the camera is going to expose for the outdoor light, and in turn, he's basically blacked out. And I've seen, you know, this isn't even a real drastic example. You'll see in some cases like this where you can't even tell who the person is because they're so dark in contrast to the background. So a way around this would just be to pull the shades, or just to not shoot in front of a window. I find that outdoor lighting is typically really good for videos. So sometimes fluorescent lighting indoors in office environments isn't the most flattering. But if you just take the time to maybe go to a few different locations and kind of get a feel for what looks good and really pay attention and be conscious of that, a lot of times you'll find your sweet spot. You know, and sometimes I'll actually turn off indoor lights and stand by a window and use that natural light by itself, you know, where you've flooded the subject with just natural light. Or I'll step outside trying to avoid harsh sunlight, because harsh sunlight can create squinty eyes and just harsh shadows on your subject. But if you're going to be outside, sometimes shooting in the shade, shooting someone in the shade is a nice amount of light, because you've got the natural light outside, but it's not that harsh light that you want to avoid. So those are just a few lighting examples. Just a few things to note when you're shooting interviews or shooting people, whether this be yourself talking or if you're trying to capture someone else, a soundbite or a snippet of them. Pay attention to headroom. You don't want a lot, and headroom is this space that you see where the X is above her head. And again, this isn't really a drastic example. I've seen videos at times where you've got the person's head way down low, and then you've got, you know, a lot of headroom above them. So that's something you want to be conscious of. I think the next image will show us a little bit about framing. But this, in school learning about shooting video, we're taught about framing in thirds. And here you see the screens divided up into thirds. And what you generally want to do is have the person's eyes, which are the focal point for the viewer, in the top third, or around the top third there. And then in this particular example, they're looking off camera. They're being interviewed by someone, and so here they're looking off camera, and you really want to give them what's called lead room, looking towards the subject. So here the gentleman is looking towards the subject, and they framed up the shot so that there's a little bit of room, you know, a little extra room on the side in the direction that he's looking. So this just tries to mimic what's natural for our eyes, so that if you're in a natural environment talking to someone, you have a tendency to frame up your own eyes in a position where, you know, they're looking towards you. So this is just kind of mimicking that. And I touched on this a second ago, but anytime you're shooting video and trying to capture video that you may use for whatever your promotional or other uses might be, you're going to want to get a variety of shots, and those would include wide, medium, and tight shots. And these are examples of each of those. And just like I was saying, you don't want to have all constant pans and all constant motion. You're going to not want the same vantage point from all your footage either. So if you're taking a video, in the case of that you're going to edit these clips together and build a visually compelling video, it's going to be most compelling if you do have a variety of vantage points, and you're not all wide, but you've got some mixture of medium and tight shots in as well. Using your smartphone. A lot of people today, in this day and age, why not? You know, our phones are brilliant technologies. They have great cameras built into them in most cases, and so I definitely recommend using your smartphone for video. A few things that I would note are, make sure you have enough space in the battery, because if you plan to use your cell phone for a video and you get out there and find that, you know, all the pictures of your kids and grandkids are eating up all the space on your phone, and you think you're going to use it for a project, and then you realize you have no space. And video is a space eater, so you're going to want to make sure that you have plenty of hard drive space. I would suggest probably at least, depending on how much you're planning on shooting, that's where you would run into differences there, but you know, at least a gig or more of space would be handy. Also, battery life. Video is going to work on your battery a little bit, so you're going to want to be cognizant of that. Hold the phone wide instead of tall. And I laughed to myself when we were watching the Periscope video, because there, all the video that you see is tall, and I guess most people with a mobile phone these days, the tendency is to hold the phone like you do when you're doing most things, and to hold it upright. But video is really a wide medium, and so in most cases, I always recommend that you hold the phone wide so that you're getting a full image instead of narrow. Because if you shoot video tall, what's going to happen when you put that video on a computer screen or try to burn it to a DVD and put it on a television is that you're going to see all this black space. Because televisions are wide, movie screens are wide, our eyes are wide, and so it's just more natural, and you're going to get a bigger, larger image if you shoot widescreen as opposed to tall. And then what's going to happen if you're shooting tall is your image is going to get cropped down, you're going to have all this black space. And I can show you some examples of that a little bit later on, but just something to keep in mind. And then use a microphone or stand close to your subject. There's all kinds of consumer level microphones that are on the market today that you can plug into the headphone jack in your mobile phone, and you can use that as a microphone. Or your phone is going to have, or a consumer camera is going to have a microphone built in most cases. My advice there is just to make sure that you're aware of the environment that you're shooting in, and you're not shooting in a room that has a lot of loud background noise that's going to compete with what you're trying to get video of. And also, if you're shooting an interview, you're going to want to stand pretty close to your subject. And that's because the closer you are, obviously, the better the mic's going to pick up. So those are just things to be aware of when you're shooting with a cell phone or any consumer-based camera. Video editing, I wanted to touch on this. It's really difficult to provide training in this area for a group like this because there's so many different platforms out there. Some of you may be using PCs, some of you may be using Macs. There's different software for each type of computer. But there's a lot of software out there that's made for the entry-level user. And so a few that I would recommend for PC users would be Windows Movie Maker. For Mac users, iMovie is a pretty standard. There's even apps that you can buy for your Android or for your Apple phone that make video editing fairly easy to learn and do. And YouTube is a great resource, and I don't know if you've ever heard of lynda.com, but that's another tremendous resource that actually utilizes training videos to help you learn. And I've found really with the internet and Google, just about anything you want to learn software-wise or otherwise is available to us. So those are some resources to think about. Just like there's some parameters on your phone that you're going to want to make sure you have with space and battery, your computer is going to be the same way with video editing. Video is very taxing, especially HD video is big pixels, and it can be taxing on your computer. So if you have a relatively new computer, you're probably in good shape, but if you're using an older machine, you may find that video bogs it down and it may not handle it well at all. So RAM or memory is something that you're going to want a decent amount of if you're doing much video editing. Hard drive space, again, videos are quite a bit larger than most images or photos that you may have worked with in the past. And then headphones are external speakers. I've found that a lot of laptops just don't have very good speakers, and so if you're trying to edit video and you're using a laptop, a lot of times you won't hear as well as you're going to want to really tweak your levels and that kind of thing. So it's always good to invest in a decent pair of headphones or even some external speakers similar to these here that can boost your audio levels when you're working on videos. So that really covers the content that I just kind of wanted to sweep over you all. At this point, I'll take questions, and then I have a few more areas that I wanted to touch on, but before I get to that, does anybody have any questions on the content so far?
The picture you had of the frame in thirds, was that a good frame?
That was.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good frame. And another thing I meant to note on that is a lot of times people ask me, should I look into the camera or should I look away from the camera? And that is something good to know when you're shooting videos. For me, what I usually tell people is it depends on if, A, your subject is comfortable looking into a camera, because sometimes looking into a camera is difficult for all of us. I'm used to being behind the camera myself, so sometimes looking into a camera can be intimidating. So if your subject's more comfortable in an interview-style environment, like the guy was in that third image, sometimes it's best to just have them look at someone that's asking them questions and have them in an interview-style environment. Or if you really want the video to have a personal feel to it, in those situations I find that it's most compelling if someone is looking into the camera. For instance, somebody mentioned doing a Kickstarter video. And I think in those instances where you're making a direct plea or a direct call to action, a lot of times it is good to have direct eye contact, and you're using video as a platform that, just like I'm looking at you and talking to you right now, you want your subject looking at the camera. So either one of those is okay, but I would say keep consistency in that. If you're working on a video, I would try to be cognizant of what direction you want to take from the beginning, whether you want all your subjects looking at the camera or whether you want more of an interview style approach. So that's just something to think through before you get started. Ian, you got another question?
Yes. Can you touch on just a little bit backgrounds? I understand the window concept, but just backgrounds when you're doing videos, how important they are, or maybe a good background to have.
That's a very good question and topic for discussion. So with backgrounds, one thing that I would suggest first off is to avoid, just to be aware of what is in the background. A lot of times we've probably all seen them on maybe cable television or something that's not highly produced. You've got this person that's there and they've got like a plant growing out of their head because they're standing in front of this tree or this plant, and whoever was behind the camera just wasn't thinking at the time. They were focused on what the person was saying, not even thinking that it looks like they've got a pineapple growing out of their head. So that's an important thing to consider. Just stop and look at your shot and say, okay, what is in my background? At times when you're doing especially business or product related stuff, you want to be cognizant of what's back there. You don't want to maybe there's a brand that you don't want to distract from what you're trying to convey. You don't want a lot of anything that's going to distract from your messaging. So in most cases, I go for something visual if I can, and if I'm shooting, if I walk in this room to interview one of you all, usually I'm not going to want you up against the wall with a real flat background because there's no depth there. There's no visual interest. But if I have you stand here and there's all this room depth in the shot, assuming that what's back there is visually interesting or attractive, that can make for a better shot sometimes than just standing somebody up against a flat wall and doing that. Now, there are times when a flat wall, even a blank wall like these walls is a good background because there's nothing competing for attention. I'm not saying that never to use that because sometimes a blank wall is actually a good background. But if you want visual interest, if you want just a pretty environment or an environment that you feel like showcases what you're trying to communicate, just be aware of what's in the background and be aware of, can I reposition this plant, move it over here? Can I open this window maybe so a little light is coming in? Or sometimes I'll turn on a lamp. Windows get tricky like we were talking about before where you've got sometimes exposure issues, but sometimes it's nice just to turn on a lamp in the background and you have this nice little glow, happening in the back that's kind of visually interesting. So I would just say take your environment into consideration anytime you're looking to shoot something, and then there are no really hard rules, but it is good to just be aware and to think through, okay, what's in my background and do I want it there?
Thank you.
If you were developing a promotional video for your business or your product or what have you, especially if you're putting it up on YouTube as a way to get it out, is there a preferred length? No more than, you don't want to make a 15-minute video.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there's standards out there that's ideal.
Right. Sandy brings up an excellent point because in this day and age, video is extremely popular, but we're finding that people are interested in shorter content versus longer. And really 3 minutes is, in most cases, a decently long video, in some cases too long. But I would say under 3 minutes or less, and I would say with video you're always wanting to draw attention and captivate an audience, more so than dump tons of information on them. Because there are areas where video, I believe, is king, and it's king in captivating us and drawing us in. But in some areas, I would rather read about something than I would watch a 3-hour-long video about it. So I would use video as a way that captivates your audience and draws attention to what you're wanting to do, but then that provides them with information. Maybe you put a website link in your video and you don't include everything about your business or organization, but you kind of tease them with the video, you show them what you really want to show them, and then you point them to your website or you point them to other materials where they can get more information.
Well, when you did the presentation on activities that you've personally been involved with, to me, they went through too fast.
Okay.
Because I couldn't capture everything that I was trying to be shown. And like the Miss Virginia pageant, I couldn't find the year because it went by too fast.
Right.
But the advantage with video is you always can hit replay and you capture more info each time, which is great. It's almost like you're giving me a little teaser.
Right.
And you're forcing me to look at that content again. So there's two ways of looking at that.
But if it's a live presentation like right now, it couldn't be rewind.
Yeah, but then that'll make me want to go and look to see if I can find that video online to learn more about what she's doing.
My memory's too short for that.
So that is the point. Should your video be mindful of the audience that you are targeting? Like, you know, several of us are a little bit older. Should that be slower so that they're grasping what you're trying to sell to them?
Right, both of you ladies bring up very good points there. And I think you do definitely want to craft your video to your audience. And it's hard, you can't really set up these hard rules of a video should never be more than 3 minutes, because there may be times when a 15-minute video in a training scenario or what have you is very applicable and something that people are going to sit down and watch. But I think when we're talking about just quick promotional videos, you are going to want those to be shorter, and sometimes content and captivating an audience is better than boring them to death. So you want to, include the information that you need to get out there, but not do it in such a way, because people won't sit through long videos anymore, unless they have to or unless they are captivated by them. So in general, use video to captivate your audience and then to point them in the direction, like Sandy was saying, of where they can find more information or where they would want to go next.
And I think it's depending on what you're trying to achieve. If I am a landscaper and I want to do a video on how I do a retaining wall so that the next folks that I go to talk to, they can look at, the video will probably be a little bit longer than a short promoting that product type video. A how-to is a lot more in depth than just a quick, I want to get your attention and the teaser type.
Right. Understanding your audience and your mission and crafting to that is huge.
That particular video, when I watched it, I wasn't looking for the content, I was looking at your style and the way you produce video. That's what you were trying to do, I think, was get your style across. And you were promoting your business. I wasn't looking for content. I wasn't looking for information. I was looking at your style and learning how you do things and how well it would.
And that's kind of the intent with a video like that, even though it may kind of leave your head spinning, is just to throw a lot at you and make you see like there's a wide scope, to what we do now.
One of the things I've noticed in some videos, and you see a lot in politicians on TV, is there's too much content in too short a period of time. So they're talking so fast you can barely understand what they're saying, which is kind of what you were saying. It's just too much in too short a period of time. And if you're doing a video for your organization or for your company, you really got to focus on minimizing the amount of just getting the key points out there as to what you do and let them go to your website or something like that.
Right, I agree. And Gary, you led really well into this next aspect that I wanted to touch on. Was yesterday I came up to test out my laptop with the projector here, and I met with Sandy for just a minute and with Kathy. And Sandy had suggested, as part of the presentation, if I could just put together a little video about the incubator here, just as an example of something that you all may want to think in terms of doing or building, and that you can inquire of me as to how we put this together. So, Kay, are you ready for that? And we'll just, I'll just show you a video that we put together real quickly last night using footage that I actually shot on my iPhone.
I hope you charge it for it, too.
Oh. Now be careful there, Gary.
It was complimentary. It's a gift to all of you all. So, but hopefully this is something that I'm hoping that if they want to use on the website, they can. But this is an example of something that this video is not going to cover every aspect of the small business incubator here. This is something that they could put up on their website if they want to, and hopefully it does tease viewers a little bit, provide a little bit of a visual for what this place is, and just give people an idea of where they can turn to find out more. So this is just a little example. Again, all shot on an iPhone with no microphone.
It's a publicly owned facility that allows someone starting out in business or looking to expand space at various square footage. You don't have to buy a copier or a fax machine. You've got meeting spaces, so if you're wanting to do training or product introduction, marketing events, you've got that here.
Our business incubator is
economic development facility that was created by Washington County and the town of Abingdon to ensure that we could help business start and expand and grow to create jobs in Abingdon and Washington County.
So I have a question. I have been on the Small Business Incubator's website. Where would you incorporate that on your website at? Would you have like a little place they watch our video or?
I would recommend probably on the main page, or some people like to, on their website, build a video page, that says at the header videos, or click here to watch videos. Because a lot of research tells us that when people go to a website, that's one of the first things they're wanting to do is watch a video.
See where that picture is? We'll replace that picture with the video.
Plus, it would be good to put on their Facebook. Kathy's got a very active Facebook page for the incubator, and that would be great too, to have that up there for anyone to share. And we would also encourage our partners that have, like the chamber or anyone else, that the IDA that has video, has a website, to also include that, because that is a economic development tool for the community.
Being built, and I think it's a great, I'm really sold now, I really am. I'm adding that to our website, so.
And Facebook and social media are another good platform, especially if it's short, something that, and really with social media, I think it's smart to capitalize on your audience again and think, okay, who are the folks that are behind, an outfit even like the Small Business Incubator, and then what would they want to see? What would they want to share? Take your fan base and figure out where are their heartstrings. What would make them want to share our message, and then craft a video that is made so that people will share it, because that's going to get your message out there. But any questions about this particular video? Or really, I spent very little time. Sandy sent me a link to the website. I went and I just thought, okay, what is a small business incubator? Because I think even the word incubator trips people up sometimes. So I got just a little bit of info, and then when I spoke with Sandy, we spent 2 minutes, I think, probably with you and Kathy, just asking one question, and they were one-hit wonders and one take, and they said it, and that was it. But
what can we say?
Your question,
Don't get into a lot of detail about this. I don't want you to take up a lot of time. But one thing that amazes me when I see videos like this, and she's saying fax machine and copier, and you see that.
Right.
How do you do that? How do you sync the two together?
Okay. It's a good question, and I'm glad you noticed that, because that was one thing that I was going to recommend to you all, is just making that connection again between audio and video. And so
That's the producer in her.
Yeah.
That's the producer.
But I love that when I see it in videos.
well, and it is a power, that's when you're harnessing the power of video and making it practical in your videos. But this is our video editing software, and this is the reason why I didn't want to get into specific teaching you how this is how you make a video. But I can use this as an illustration for his point. But let's see, is this the area right here? Okay, so here, Kayla, can you scroll down so they can see? This green right here is our audio. So if you've ever played Tetris on a Nintendo, sometimes video editing feels a little bit like that. But we're basically, you see here in the top is our bin, and that's where we went in and imported all of our media. And then basically we're able there to set in and out points. So we say, okay, I like this clip from the 3-second mark to the 6-second mark. And so we set our in and out points, and then we drag the video down to what's called the timeline. And this is where the audio and the video are coming together. So this is video, or this is audio, this is video. And so here you see layers of video. And so what we've done is we've taken Sandy's video clip with her audio, and we've got it here. And then we have put a layer over top of that that includes some photos that I took of the copier and the fax machine. So there where she's talking about copier and fax machine, we took those pictures. Is it right here? Okay. Watch her, not me. But we've dropped in those pictures right here. And we can drag those out to what length we want. But, this may look complicated and complex to you, and it kind of is, because this is a high-end professional grade video editor. Any editors that you're going to use as an entry-level video person, either Windows Movie Maker or iMovie, there probably will be a learning curve, but those should be a lot more intuitive to you, and they should be less intimidating to look at. So again, this is our software that we use, but you know, the basic principles are the same.
You could do that with Windows Movie Maker, I believe,
Yeah.
couldn't you?
I do it with the Movie Maker, it's really easy. It's not, it's kind of like that once you start describing it, like, yeah, that's Movie Maker.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's just drag and drop, it's really easy.
And the same way with iMovie, if you've got a Mac or an iPad or iPhone, and you know, on YouTube, they've got some good editing built into YouTube that you can do a lot of this, add pictures, upload your video, your soundtracks or what have you. And you, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I think the key is the layers bit, you know, just to understand that you're basically stacking on top of, you're covering up your video with your picture.
Right.
Any other questions pertaining to that or anything else related to the incubator video? With that, we incorporated just a little bit of text to kind of help tell the story. And we put the text on a black background just so it's easy to read. And we picked just a clean, simple font, and we tried to make it centered and large enough to see. Just some basic design principles go into play. You know, like I would really be conscious of font choices, and I think pretty much always a simple, clean font wins over something that, you know, maybe looks dated, or the time I think to use fancy or different fonts is if they match a specific purpose. You know, like if you're doing maybe you want a script font for something that's on the fancier side, or a wedding boutique or something like that. But for most applications, I just like a clean, consistent look. But those are all things you can play with. But these are good starter principles. Any other thoughts or questions? Yeah, let's show the vertical. So one thing I had Kathy and Sandy do with me yesterday was allow me to shoot a little video of them vertically. And so you may remember earlier I was talking about holding your phone wide versus vertically or tall. And so what happens if you've got if you're shooting widescreen, as in this example here at the top, you see that the video fills the screen. And if it's on a computer or a TV, you're going to see that video full screen. If I was to shoot tall, this is what happens in the screen. You have that black space on the left and the right because the video perspective is vertical and narrow versus widescreen. So here you see Sandy and Kathy both in the vertical aspect ratio, which, you know, you can make work. It's not that you can't use it, but to me, you just get a bigger, better picture if you hold that camera widescreen.
Is there a specific direction that you should turn? I took several pictures with the iPad over the last few weeks, and when I uploaded them, they look normal on the computer. When I upload them to our website, they're all turned. And the website developer told me it's because of the direction that I flipped the iPad.
Right.
And they can't be turned back. So.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because when we were editing this yesterday, we actually ran into the same problem. Because with the phone, you know, with the camera, you can tell which side is up and which side is down. But with the phone, you just got this device that you turn every which way, and it knows what you're doing, you know, when you're looking at it. But we found that same problem when we imported our photos. It was okay with the video, but the photos were all upside down. So we had to take them into a piece of software where we could rotate them, and then we had to save the images after we rotated them.
So was the camera to the right or to the left?
It's whatever, when you turn it on, when you start it out, that's the direction it's going to be at when you film it. So you can't, like if I start out with my phone like this to film it, and I go like that, it's not going to do. So you'll have to, usually I close out my photo or my camera app and then start it back again.
From the sideways position?
Whatever direction you're wanting to do it in.
And I would also recommend, if you find yourself shooting a vertical video, and then you remember and you're like, oh, let me turn, it's going to mess you up. If you start vertically and then turn it, it's still going to squeeze down your thing. So you're just going to want to stop and start again. And, you know, make sure you're holding it straight and find them and stuff. But you should have a way to redeem those photos. There should be, you know, some software out there that would rotate them and.
You can edit it in your, on your own.
Well, but it looks normal on here. It doesn't, it's not
Right.
flipped. And then I moved it to the computer, and they're still not, but they look okay, because she said that the iPad tells it which direction.
Right.
The iPad knows it was turned, the computer knows it was turned, but the website,
Okay.
she turned them. She went in and did it. I don't know how I couldn't do it.
Right. I would just recommend turning
Could
it
you
and
turn off
saving.
your auto rotate and then you would have to have it?
That might be a good
Directions
solution.
on a tablet? I mean, like mine has the auto rotate, but I mean, I would think, I don't know, but.
Yeah. Get everybody here. She said turn off auto rotate.
Is that on what kind of phone?
Oh, on a
It's on
tablet.
the
I mean, I
iPhone
just have
and
an Android tablet, but you know, you can turn it any direction and it'll take
But you
it.
can lock it.
But I was just looking at my phone and I'm assuming upright is with the flash up top, but I don't know that.
Yeah.
And same thing as my tablet. But I can hold it any direction and it automatically rotates, but then when it downloads it, I'm guessing, I don't know. But I know when I've accidentally turned off auto rotate, I'm like, what, why is it not, you're upside down, so I don't know.
Right. That's a good point. And in most phones, if you go into settings, you should be able to find a rotate, which would be helpful. Because it's like you say, the device usually compensates when you're out doing it, but when you get to the computer, you may have a problem. So, any other thoughts, questions? We've got 20 minutes till 1:30. The third topic for my discussion was just what you can expect working with a video production company. And I wasn't sure how much time we would have for this or what the interest level would be, but I'm here and available for questions if anybody wants to better understand the process of working with a production company or just any types of questions.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
What exactly does that mean, working with a production company?
Well, working with a production company for a video would be, instead of you making the video yourself, hiring a company like ours to make the video for you.
What if I
So-
wanted to do pieces of it and then have some assistance with putting that all together?
Right. I mean, that's a possibility too. Sometimes we find that it creates more work on the back end, you know, more time to work that way. So we don't do a lot of that, but, you know, there are other companies in the area that would do more of that. But sure, I mean, a lot of times, one of the biggest questions we get is, how much is it gonna cost me to make a video? You know, or I wanna make a 3-minute video, how much will that cost? And I'm usually, you know, having to find myself backtracking and saying, well, it's kinda like building a house. You know, you can't just say, I wanna build a house, how much is it gonna cost? You have to look at the scope and scale of the house. And I'm sure you've all seen the tiny houses that are kind of taking off right now, and you might be able to build a really nice tiny house for $20,000. Or you may want to build a mansion, you know, for $3 million. So it's kind of the same with video production. I mean, we can scale our work and you can scale your projects to meet any budget pretty much. It would just, you know, here you saw real basic graphics, you know, real simple text graphics and a real simple shoot that took very little time. So a project like that would be scaled down in price compared to, you know, a project that took several days of filming and lots of, you know, motion graphics that were making your head spin earlier and that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I know he's got a question, but I've got one too about copyright and releases.
Good questions, very good questions. I would recommend both from the standpoint of be aware of copyright, and YouTube and other entities will help you out with that, because if you make a video, let's say, and you use some copyrighted music in it and you go to upload it, a lot of times they have software that sees that you've used a copywritten file, and they'll actually remove it from their site a lot of times. So you do want to make sure that you're not having any copyright infringement with music. There are websites. We use one called audioblocks.com that has a lot of affordable music that you may spend a couple dollars on a song.
What was the name of that?
Audioblocks.com. And there are others. There's one called Pond5, POND5.com. And there are other, you could just Google copyright-free music or royalty-free music, and you can find oodles of websites, and maybe some free ones even that would have music that you can use in your videos. But you do want to be aware of not, using copyrighted material that's going to get you in trouble legally, or that would just be taken off of YouTube or off of another channel.
The music that comes with apps or applications like Animoto,
Right.
that's not an issue, right?
Right,
It's already
that's-
copyrighted.
Right, that's one of the
Approved use.
benefits of using, a template or a program like Animoto or one of these others that is going to have a library built in that you can pull from.
To address her question, is it fair to say that your question about having you doing part of it and them doing the other part, is it fair to say that the smaller amount of time is the video, taking the video or doing the interview, the larger is putting it on a platform that will view it.
Right.
So you might spend 10 minutes on an interview and they may spend 2 hours on correcting it. So my point being, it could probably be more cost effective for them to use their equipment and their video stuff to do what you want, because doing it in your facility will be the lesser expense. Doing it in their facility, having them manipulate stuff, especially if it's not on their equipment, would probably take longer.
Right.
So in the long run, it'd be cheaper for you to have them do it rather than you do part of it. Does that make sense?
Right. Gary explained it very well, and that is often, because a lot of times if we're given footage, sometimes if there's lighting issues or if there's sound quality issues, that kind of thing, we spend more time, like Gary said, trying to bring it up to par than we would spend on the front end. Not to say that you can't do videos yourself, because you can, but that's just how we typically work with a lot of our clients.
So they let you get one chance to make a good first impression.
Right. That's very true.
Go big.
Now, do you folks do a live streaming?
We do. We've done a fair amount of that. And, we're capable of setting up multi-cameras, and we have a switcher, and we come in, and basically we're doing editing live, and we're sending it out live. So
Do you use satellite or do you use Wi-Fi?
we've done some work for a bigger corporation in the area that has their own system that they use. So it's not satellite, it's going out over their network. But, we have used live stream, and you saw the footage from the pageant. We actually did a webcast of the pageant a couple years ago when it was in Bristol, and that was through Ustream, I believe.
Ustream?
I think so. And I'm sorry, I skipped over your question about releases.
When the people that are being used in the video, is that always necessary or just sometimes necessary?
Right. I would say in most professional instances, it would be really wise to get a release. And a lot of times you can go online and just do a Google search for a general audio video type release, and it should be something fairly straightforward without too much legal jargon, for you or the person signing to read through, but just to give you permission to use their image or their voice and likeness in a video. So that is highly recommended if you're, particularly doing stuff for business purposes or for your organization. But like I said, you can usually find those online and just download one or make one of your own, kind of pulling stuff that you would find from a simple contract online.
What would you consider the top 3, if I'm going to hire a firm like yourself, what would be the top 3 things that I want to make sure that I get clear, that I'm protecting myself, that, this is what that I need to make sure about?
Okay, let me think. We try to make it really easy to work with us on projects. Typically, and I'll try to answer your question, Sandy, kind of in a nutshell, but typically, if you have a project and you come to us and you say, this is what I need, most people come to us and say, I want a video because I want this end result. And whether that's raising money for a Kickstarter, or whether that's driving people to your website, or whether that's showcasing a product, we always try to look at, okay, what is the end result, and then what is the best way that we can use video to achieve that end result. And my favorite part of my job as a video producer is trying to get creative, and I never like to make the exact same video twice, so I like to try to think out of the box in creative ways that we can utilize video. And And so usually I'll put together a project proposal that will include different price points for different options. You know, I try to give a base figure for an entry-level, bare bones type project, and then on up to a bigger scale. So your question specific was, what would you as a client want to?
Three things.
What do I want to make sure that I get clear at the very beginning? That's be like if I am leasing a piece of property, you know, and we have that a lot that happens with some of our small business that they don't look at the fine print and they didn't get that up front and understand it. So that's what I'm trying to get at on having a video produced.
Right. I would say it's always good to have a good understanding on both sides in a written contract that would spell out, you know, the video is going to be 2 minutes long. It's going to, the end goal is going to be for it to do this, and up front we're going to say that we're going to include interview content, or we're going to include product footage, or we're going to include a photo slideshow, or, you know, just to kind of have a written contract that spells out the essentials and what's been promised. Financially speaking, we usually require a 50% deposit up front. Remainders due when the project is delivered. So you have that guarantee that you're not going to pay, you know, we need some money up front because we have costs associated with buying royalty-free music and sometimes buying stock footage and that kind of thing to use in a project. But, you know, you pay the end price once you've received the finished product. But you know, we're always willing to negotiate on contracts, and some clients come to us and they have specific needs and they say, we can't do this, but can you do this? And we try to work with folks in that way. But, I mean, I think we try to make it so that there's not a lot of hoops to jump through, and, you know, we're a small company, so we are very personal with our clients and want to have that, you know, communication up front on what's expected and what's to be delivered, and then we can put that into writing. Does that answer?
Do you always require a contract signed?
I should. I don't often, you know, but when people request it, I always do. And, you know, and that kind of comes down to the small business personal part. I've never really had any issues, but most definitely if somebody wants a contract, then we'll give them one. But for the most part, you know, we seek to make our clients happy, and we've done, you know, usually, I think, Kayla, would you say 2 or 3 rounds of a video? Usually we have the first round, we show, approve, and the client will say, okay, I really like this, but could you change this text to say this, and could you change this image for this? And usually we'll go and make another round of edits, and I would say in most cases, you know, the second round of edit is our final version. In most cases, clients are pretty happy with that one. If they're not, you know, we may have 3 rounds of edits, but that's, you know, would be included in our conversation.
For those of us who aren't as good at this, can you explain the difference between videos and streaming?
Okay, that's a good question, Gary. So a streaming video would be kind of like the Periscope videos that we saw earlier, and like Sandy's doing here from her
live.
iPad.
So you're seeing it on the computer when it's actually happening,
Yes, but
as opposed to a video that you prepare and.
But this service allows me to download that I am afterwards.
And I would say one big distinction is the difference between a produced video and an event capture. And in this sense, you know, like that camera is just capturing what we're talking about today. So it's really just an event capture. It's just a stream of what's happening. Whereas another form of video would be a produced video where you're kind of strategically putting together text or photos or video.
Like an award show.
Right. Or something that's just, which you might have an award show that's produced and then becomes an event stream. But for the purposes of most people in this room, I think the distinction would be a web stream is usually just, here's what's happening, and a produced video would be, you know, editing together bits and pieces to make it.
Or I guess you could take a streamed event and make a video out of it.
Right, absolutely.
So you could do it afterwards.
Yep.
All right.
Is it hard to embed a stream? Like if you're doing an event and you want people to be able to watch it that aren't there, is that something you can put on your Facebook website, or is that a different channel you have to use, or is there, you know what I mean? So like if we're doing that as opposed to going to archive, we wanted to say, you didn't make it, well, come to our Facebook page and you can see what's going on, or whatever.
That's something that Sandy does day in and day out, I think, but different platforms, I know there's Ustream, there's Livestream. Ustream is just stream.com, Livestream is another source. I don't know, what do you use, Sandy? Do you have
We
a
use
state?
Livestream here.
Okay. And so she's provided, I guess, with a link that she can then post wherever she wants to, and then it's just a matter of clicking on that link to, watch either a archived event after the fact or a
Yeah,
live.
it stays, on this service, it stays up for 30 days, but during that 30 days, I have the option of downloading the video. And then what we've done for the incubator is created on YouTube a channel called New Knowledge, and so we're archiving those for people to go. And your first question is how you promote that. One of the things is you start getting followers that follow you on live stream. Either they find out about it through the Facebook page for the incubator or their website, or that we're tweeting it out. And when they get that, when you create an event, they get an email that's notifying, okay, this event will be held such and such date, here's the link. And then when the event starts, they'll also get another email that the event has started with a direct link. But we are always promoting it up, again, on our social media channels. We're putting it even on our flyers that if you can't join us in person, you have that option. Now, keep in mind, as she said, it's live, so the content is not always clear as it is here, and it depends on who our presenter is and the background that they're using and so forth. We can't control that, and sometimes we'll ask if we can get the slides for the presenter that they're putting up there and share it later, but there's give and take.
A lot of times you're at the mercy of your Wi-Fi signal too.
Amen.
That's true, yeah.
If, like, for example, if you're doing
Concert.
No, I mean, like your training, if you're doing a training, you would stream the training while someone's doing what you're doing. You're videoing them doing that presentation. And then later you'd go back and you'd put a header in the front, you'd say this is lesson 14, 2.5 hours or whatever. And then you could break in the middle. So you could start with a streaming video and then break it into something else, however you want to do it, basically.
And that's what I do before I load it up on YouTube, is I put a front page, kind of an intro, and then the last page or the last screen will be to show a list of the next upcoming events, and promoting again this whole partnership with the Chamber and the incubator and our organization.
And it must be working, because we had somebody from Kingsport this morning that called, and it's funny what people think. It says you must register to attend the classes. Well, she wanted to know if she had to register to watch the live stream. But we know that we've got a live stream watcher today from Kingsport, just because she called to say, could she still watch live stream if she hadn't registered? But the two aren't connected.
But she has to know the link, or she has to have a live stream account and know how to find us. Because it requires a live stream account, right? To be able to watch. It's free.
Yeah, you gotta sign in with an email, right?
Hello to our live stream viewers.
Yeah.
You had up to about 12 at one time.
Wow, that's great.
And another cool thing about it is, and Sandy does a great job with it, you can interact with the people that are watching. It makes it a bit more personal. You can also put links in that people can click on. It's pretty cool.
I guess we're about out of time. I forgot my business cards. I left them at the office, so my contact info is here. Feel free to contact me if any of you have any questions, or I'll be around for a while here today if you want to chat. Hopefully you're not leaving with your head spinning, and I know we covered a lot of varied ground today, but thank you all for your attention and being here.
Thank you for Carrie today for giving us this presentation. I do want to say that folks that have been doing these presentations are doing these presentations as a service to the incubator. So we really seriously appreciate all of their efforts. Next, put the glasses on. So, September the 9th. We have Jim Christensen from Knoxville, Tennessee, who is a Dale Carnegie trainer, and he is going to be presenting how smart leaders create engaged employees, and that's September the 9th. Also, we have out, as you're leaving in the reception area, we have a list of all of our classes that we have through May of next